special edition 231 Get Vish Encore demo. I got Joshua Howard in the house. He is the CEO / co-founder behind what I think is the next right answer around digital color measurement tool. I love watching it. I think it's so interesting when you see this. Get ready to have the size blown off of your brain box, whether you're a hairdresser and the art of hair color is near and dear to you, and or a salon owner that's looking at I want to control my costs now that we're in COVID, and when you see what that's going to mean in terms of savings, it's going to be nothing short of amazing. So those of you that were here, I think it's probably been about 3-4 weeks ago, I had Josh on the program, and we were just kind of telling us the story of Vish, and I made him promise to come back to do a demo for us, and he's back. And you're going to make him feel welcome, you guys. Long day.
Every day is pretty long, but a good day all the same. It was sunny, so that was nice.
Well, it's good to have you. Thanks for coming on. I know that you got a lot going on. Things are blowing up around you with Vish, and I thank you for keeping your promise and coming back on.
I appreciate you having me back on. It was really appreciate the opportunity to show the technology. I know we talked about the numbers a lot, but I'm hoping to take the opportunity tonight just to show the platform and how it works.
All right, let's do it. We're all ears.
So for those that weren't on the call last time, one thing that was central to our brand was to make it easy to use for stylists and give them a tool to enhance what they were already doing rather than give them another step. So I'll get right into it. One moment. So you can see the device right there. So it's just representing a color bowl. This is a Bluetooth scale. You can see that there's no digital display. It's very resilient. It's made out of a hard plastic, and this load cell is built upside down. So this is our 3rd generation scale, and you can. It's basically waterproof, and it will resist a lot of the corrosive materials on the color bar.
And it looks very Apple. As you know, I've got obsessive compulsive Apple disorder. So that's one of the main reasons why I love it.
I have the same one. It's an expensive disorder.
I know it is. Very expensive, but it's a lot of fun.
So what you can see, I'm just sharing what's going on the screen right now. So every stylist will have a unique pin. And what you're seeing here is this is the information that we get from the POS. So very simple, stylist logs in, they click on a particular client and see what's booked. And this is what we typically see. You have a new growth application, mids to ends, and then a clear gloss. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mix a new bowl. So this is where all the historical formulas would live. So if your client has been back to the salon since you've used Vish, all of the formulas will be in here. But I'll show you how easy it is to mix a formula from scratch. So right now I have Redken and L'Oreal stored. So I'm just going to build a L'Oreal formula. My brother was actually supposed to be on this with me, and he's the hairstylist. So you have to forgive me if this color isn't fantastic. Very simple. So I'm just grabbing the ingredients, and it's important to note that we store the colors in our system the same way that they're stored on the color chart. So I'm just going to add some violet and then my developer. So with a few clicks, you're now back to mixing color the same way you normally would. I'm going to take my bowl, place it on the scale, and I'm just going to tell the tab of what I'm mixing. So I'm going to put 40 grams of color in, and instead of pressing 0 on the scale, I'm simply pressing the next ingredient. And then if I want, I can set the developer ratio. I believe it's 1:1 in this line, but you can make the ratio whatever you like. And then from there, it's just telling me that I need to add 60 grams of color to get the right ratio. I hit done mixing. That's basically it. So that we've tried to make that as seamless as possible to just record the formula. Now, after the formula is in the system, so what just happened there, we've taken that formula, we stored it directly to the client file with the consistency and the amount. So, and as we discussed in the last call, we try to help, we save salons money in 2 ways. We reduce the amount of inventory needs, like we reduce by augmenting the formulas, and we make sure that the front desk is notified of how much color was mixed. So one of the number one reasons we see with waste is if a stylist is mixing mid-application and they've got, maybe they need to mix another quadrant, so they need half of that original mix to finish the application. We enable them to go back into the mix and just press a button to modify that formula. So they only need to add exactly what they're asking for rather than mix a full bowl of color. And that's completely customizable. You can put it down to 5 grams of color if you want. And the scale is as sensitive, it measures to 1/10 of a gram. So you can see on the bottom is how much color you need in the total mix, and on the top, so there's 60 grams originally mixed and it's asking for another 30. It's great if you run out of color and you have an assistant or another stylist that can run back and mix more color for you, and you know that you have that exact same consistency that was already been applied to the client.
So once they would do the application, and I hear one part of your language is weighing twice, or when you're done, whatever is left, you bring back, so that there's some sort of difference, so that the next time you do something, you're going to get exactly, the technology tells you exactly what you're going to need this time.
And that's exactly what I did just then, is I mixed the formula, and at the end, this is the only behavioral change that we ask, but at the end of the session, we reweigh the waste. So what we've done is we've stored that formula, we've saved the stylist a trip back because they remixed and mixed more color, and then we subtracted the waste out. So the next time that guest returns, you have the exact amount that you need to complete that service without wasting any color.
And then there was another interesting feature, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, where there's you set up your pricing structure that your pricing is based on what you use, and if you need more and you go get more, that adds to the ticket.
That's exactly right, and that's the next piece I'll show you. So there's certainly a lot more features and functionality built into the app for the stylist to use.
Yes.
But so we take all of that information and we push it directly to the front desk. 1 second. And that's this piece of technology here. So you can see this little widget.
Yes.
The pink.
Yes.
So that sits on top of your POS and will feed this information directly back. So if I look at the customer I just did, so there's a new growth, retouch, 180 grams of color, and this salon may have only budgeted 30 grams of color plus developer, so we push through an extra product charge. And there's a number of ways that you can do that. You can set a threshold up so they're allowed to use a certain amount of color. You can do it where you're pushing back the exact cost. And then there's also a retail function, so you can mark up the color and charge 100% markup as well.
And that's this parts and labor that I've been hearing about in the Vish community. That is like a new alternative to pricing, where the salon is covered, and yet the hairdresser doesn't feel like nobody's fingers are in their pocket.
Yeah, so there's two ways of pricing it. One way is the traditional way, which most of our salons configure the system that way, that they set up. You can use up to this much color, and then we'll trigger extra product charges. It's easier to do that in the salon. They continue to completely change the pricing structure, but there's also salons, and it is an emerging group, that are treating their hair color like a retail inventory. And what they're doing is they're putting 100% markup, they're separating it from the ticket, and they're charging for the service, and then they're charging for the hair color separately.
Right.
And I've actually got 3 examples brought up of what that looks like on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
So
and to really, this is way the pricing, that pricing concept is new, it's unprecedented, it's way on the front end of the bell curve of innovative, early adopter. But time will tell if it goes over the tipping point and is adopted by the majority. But in the meantime, the traditional is, look, that we have X amount of color that's built into the price of this service, and
yep.
As long as we stay on this side of it, it is what it is. But for whatever reasons, if we need more color, because of hair length or whatever that is.
It could just even be style, right? You're seeing a lot of fashion colors and whatnot. So just because a stylist is using more color doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. You just want to make sure that that information is pushed to the front desk. So what we see is when we install our technology, some salons want to go super conservative and make sure the cost per application is as low as possible with every application. And what that looks like, you get under $4 per application across the entire organization, which is quite massive. That's big. Most salons cutting most people when they start using our technology between $8 and $12 per application. So one example I'll show you is a salon that is using about $4 per application, and that's brand agnostic. So all brands are about the same price. Like all of the premium brands are about the same price per gram. Efficiencies come from the application and education.
So this is fascinating to me, Josh, because you're saying that in a traditional salon, because you don't have the consciousness, never mind the technology, to really kind of interact with that and manage it, there's an $8 to $12, you're using $8 to $12 in supply. This is going to bring the cost to somewhere around 4 or 5 without compromising on the integrity or the quality of the service. And when you start extrapolating that math over time, you said something on the last interview, I thought I was hallucinating, where you said, you could break it down to a station. You were talking about a $5,000 to $10,000 a year per station.
Yeah.
That you're really controlling, lowering the expenses on.
Yeah. So what you can see, that's exactly right. And the reason how we can do that is we can break it down by each individual service provider. And I don't want to put anybody's names public because it's all customers in our database, but I can show you that the services because they're agnostic. But this particular salon, they're okay with going over. They've just set thresholds up to ensure that they're charging. So they're not a conservative salon, although they reweigh a bunch. They're a model salon. Just the trends in their area and sort of the style of those stylists that they use, they use a tremendous amount of color, but they're charging for it. So on the top here, you can see that they brought in $84,000 of product charges. Meanwhile, they've used $56,000. So they're not marking 100% of their color up. They're just marking it up when they go over these thresholds. So a color gloss, on average, they're using $8.34. When you exceed that, it's going to get you to trigger an extra product charge. Got it. And what we can see, there's a variance among services. So we take this data, work with the salon owners, and allow them to set up those thresholds. One important note as well, and no matter which salon we work with, whether it's a salon that separates parts and labor, or a salon that's super conservative, or a salon like this that focuses on the color and doesn't really worry about the math, they just take our recommendations and charge it to the guest, is everybody's seeing this jump in product. And this gap here was the shutdown in COVID. And I can show you this with almost every single salon that, they're $8 per application, got down to $7. Then they jumped right up to $9.60. This is another salon that we're working with. This salon is one of the more conservative salons that we work with. You can see that their cost per application was about half of the previous salon because they're very adamant on just really getting super conservative and not passing any of those product costs to the client, so they don't go over extra product charges very often.
It'd be interesting to see the before picture before you have a technology like Vish. Like right now, they're at $4. I'm seeing sometimes, $4 or $5. And what you're saying is before Vish, that could be double.
Yeah, so I'll show you a couple of things with this one. So this is one of our oldest salons that have been using us since the beginning, but super conservative. Even with all of the measures, even with using a system like ours, and I'm only showing you salons that have been using our system for more than 12 months, they saw this jump, this 25 to 40% increase in product usage post-COVID. I can only imagine what's happening to the salons that have zero controls in place. So I'm sure a lot of people on this call that their product costs must be through the roof. And I can actually show you, if you like, what the impact was from using our system. So we went back as April 2018. a lot of data, so it might take a second. But I hope I'm not moving too fast. Does all of this make sense, what I'm going through?
Yeah. Well, I think some people are more data oriented than others, but the bottom line is, first of all, I think the idea that you're using a digital technology to control the quality, first of all, maintain the integrity of the service, and at the same time, being cognizant of the business side, so that this technology, in my own opinion, is for the good of all and the harm of none. So you're not penny pinching and cheating a guest. You're not controlling a hairdresser's creative integrity on color, and at the same time you're really seeing the business side of the art, so that at the end of the year you've maximized. If there is no profit, there can be no if there is no margin, there can be no mission.
Yeah. And to answer your question, so this is a salon that's been using us for over 2 years. Their cost per application was $6.50, so they were relatively conservative, and we got them down to $4. So we're saving $2.50 per application, and they do about 1,000 services per month. So just in hair color savings, we're saving them about $2,500 a month.
Wow. So you went fast, and I want to make sure that the viewer got that savings. What was it? I saw $2 plus per color saving, and without jeopardizing the integrity, the quality of the service, the artistic integrity of the hairdresser as it relates to the art of color. And this I think you said that per month we're at a couple of $1,000, give or take. Did I hear that as savings?
Yeah, there's $2,500 in savings.
Wow, that's
per month.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a $30,000 a year savings, and every dollar that we save hits the bottom line. So this salon increased their profitability by $30,000 by bringing in something like this.
Well, it was more than that, because that's just the waste reduction. Keep in mind that we increased revenue on the other side, because, and what I can show you, I'm going to do one more mix as I kind of move through the tablet, but one of the biggest culprits that we see not hitting the POS is the gloss.
There you go.
Right?
Yes.
So a lot of the times we see that as an add-on service that's done at the station that the stylist is consulting, but it's not, typically it's not booked. So this goes under the radar. So and just to show very quickly, if I were to mix a gloss, oh, that's the wrong one. Like I said, I hope I'm not being criticized by some stylists right now. This form does not, they make some sense, but not a ton of sense. I'm combining some of the ingredients correctly, I believe. But this will show you, so with a standard gloss mix, this would be a heavy one, but we see these all the time. Get done. And to answer your question earlier, quickly, you don't have to do this. This is completely up to you. We recommend it. So I reweigh at the end. Reweighing, just make sure there's no waste left. And then ask me if I'm ready to complete. I say yes. And now I'm going to push that to the front desk. So now there's a gloss applied as well. So in this particular one, I had it set to 30 grams, but they use 60 grams of gloss. So there's an additional $7.21. So this $42.41 charge, we see walk out the salon all of the time. And I think a lot of people listening and watching this recognize this as a problem, but they might not have any ways of measuring it. It's pretty hard to measure something that was never measured before. So we have assumptions on that, but modestly, you're looking at between 5 and 15% increase in lost revenue. And that's mostly from glosses and extra product charges. The extra product charges are typically someone booked for a new growth application, but maybe the refresh wasn't built into that, or a highlight and the toner wasn't added. It happens all over the place. So
Right.
that's been, so when you said $25,000 to $30,000, that's cost savings, but the bigger impact is the extra revenue that's captured. So it works for the stylist as well.
So basically, there's integrity in the pricing menu. So there's many times that, you know, there's a price for an add-on that gets lost in the shuffle. That, you know, somewhere between the end of the service and the desk, you know, there's a $5, there's a $10, there's a $15, and it disappears. And this radar brings it and makes sure that it's in the follow-through. So it takes, for me, it cleans it up. It takes the fuzziness out of the pricing, so that all parties are charging what they're worth. This is just not for the salon; it's the hairdresser.
It's that extra piece of data tracking. So you track it in your POS for a reason. You book it in your POS because you know you need to charge for it. Most salons have a paper traveler or some system in place to communicate this back. Like, sure, they book for a half-head highlight, but actually they're getting a balayage and they're getting a toner. That thing needs to get communicated. So even if you capture the majority of these, it's going to help your stylists out because they don't have to worry about that administrative task anymore. They've got enough on their plate. They don't need to write down the formula anymore, and they don't need to tell the front desk what was mixed, and they don't need to try to calculate, well, I think I used more color, but I didn't use an extra full bowl. I used an extra 10. Oh, don't worry about it today.
Right.
Right. And with that level of insight, we can actually show, so there's stylists as well, how much product they've used over a given period of time and how much they're using per service. So the stylist, if you coach your staff on a regular basis, you can see that some staff are using 30% less product. So you can set up thresholds in your salon for bonuses as well. I know there's a lot of different ways that some of coaches to work with staff and try to prop up the whole business. It's a lot easier when you have a lot more information. And even people working with the summit coaches with authorization of the salon, we will give access to these web platforms for them to be able to pull and go through their data with the salons.
Right, and this can be integrated into some of the cloud systems that you're working with, and it can also be a standalone independent of, so it doesn't hinge on any particular software.
No, we built it as a standalone system because we really had to show market fit and prove it out. Our growth strategy development wise, as we look to expand again, like we're already integrated with 8 POS companies, 8 or 9, and we're going to continue to integrate with them. We've identified some key partners that are really leading the charge in this space, and we're going to be pushing data back to them. That's next year. But for right now, we make it easier by integrating with most POS. We pull the customers, we pull the appointments, and we pull the employee information. So it's an easy configuration and day-to-day operation.
And you know, I mean, we're in an age now of community. So
100%.
Whether we're talking about a summit community, a Facebook community, I see Vish rapidly becoming a community within a larger community, that you're going to have a technology that first of all empowers you to charge what you're worth, because this is not about, you know, the salon owner making money on the backs of a hairdresser. It's like no, that when there's discrepancy in a ticket, you're taking a hit as much as anyone's taking a hit. And I've been in the business.
The stylists get busy, right? Sometimes they forget to charge for that toner, and all of a sudden, like, I just lost $15, $20, $30 when I just forgot to take that timer. They were too busy. So it's not, they can, you know, the chef, when the chef's in a kitchen is asked to prepare a meal, he's not there trying to figure out what it costs as well. Right. So the stylist has been tasked to come out with the client outcome, which is the number one important thing. And that's why, you know, I'll just show you the interface and the design again. Like, we understand that the stylists have a big task of their busy and stuff. So we really aim to make this Apple-like, to make this beautiful. So it's a tool to incentivize them to mix with ease. Because this certainly is better than writing your formula down with a pen and paper or uploading it to the POS after the fact. it's capturing all of that administrative data while they're mixing.
Right. And, I mean, I've been a coach, I've been a mentor for many moons, and I've had thousands and thousands of conversations where there's some hairdressers feel guilty. Charge, it's like for whatever that is, and it gets in their way. And that's why Summit's pricing system was so powerful, is it took the emotion out of it. And it surprised hairdressers, like, whoa, I was telling myself a story, and I was getting in my own way, and a technology helped them to see that it was a delusion, and the spell's broken, and all of a sudden, it's the only regret they have is, I wish I would have had this realization earlier, because you start doing the math on that, and it can be 3-4 house payments a year, 4 or 5 car payments a year, and that's a big deal.
Money.
Yes.
And it's I was doing a webinar for the other day, or yesterday, I think. Sorry, like you said, Groundhog Day, right? Each day is kind of melting to the other one. But we had a question from a salon owner: what should my profit margin be for each individual service? And I mean, if you're running a business, you should know that, and it's okay that you don't, but that's vital information. And a lot of people are looking for this information, and they're getting this sort of out of the box, this is what your margin should be, versus you need to look at all of your expenses before you determine what your margin should be, then relative to the pricing in your region and all that sort of stuff. So that's why when we built this, we made sure it was incredibly customizable, because there's not a one size fits all solution for this industry.
Right. And to your point, technologies like this, frankly, change the metric. They change the benchmark. So, how profitable should I be, or whatever? You bring a technology in to this conversation, it disrupts traditional benchmarks. It's like we got to blow the sides off of our brain box here and go, that's what I love about digital, is it collapses time and drives up income all across the board. And I think this is just one more profound example of that. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
So there's a number of people that are I'm kind of watching my dashboard here, and they're going, whoa, this is very, very cool. So I know that you're texting me or emailing me a link that I'll put on the caption of this post, and then there must be one of your people on, because they're putting a link on in their comment box as well. So I think it's wonderful. I think it's a gigantic step from going from whatever we want to call what we were. And some of us were calling what we were digital pre-COVID. And it's like, well, if that's digital, this is digital to like the 4th or 5th power here. And to, reimagine our business to not just survive but thrive in times like COVID. Don't look now, but this is a technology that's going to empower us to do so. So kudos to you, my friend.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. And there's certainly more features that we didn't go over. I mean, it's a lot to go over. It's a big platform with inventory management and all that sort of stuff and different points of integration. But Luke would have shared his meeting link. I shared you my meeting link if someone wanted to meet directly with me. Like, I love meeting with as many salon owners as possible.
Right.
So more than happy to take a deeper dive and just go through the different customizations for your customer base.
Well, I think the next step, what's coming up in me now is like we see the science, we see the technology behind it. I want to say, okay, show me, 1 or 2 Vish salon owner Jedis that can come and bring a salon owner perspective, as well as Vish color Jedis. That where now the Vish technology is as much a part of their art form, their expression, so that we get, kind of a holistic view of how this looks depending on people's role in the salon. So promise me that I can take a few people out of your community so that my community has an opportunity of hearing it right from right from the minds and hearts of the users of your technology.
I'll try to find you someone older and someone new, because there's been, we've had some people that have been with us at the start, and because they've seen the power in this and the value in this data and the value in the waste reduction and all of our benefits, they've stuck through and they've gone through different iterations of the technology. So more than happy to share our network with you. Really, I'm very pleased you shared yours with myself and my team. So anything we can do to kind of help this industry, especially survive in these trying times, we're available.
Well, I've talked to a number of salon owners that have it now, and I've heard words like stunning. It's absolutely stunning. I had no idea what this could do for the efficiency of my operation, how it could level up the artistic expression of people that are Jedis at color. So it really, to me, looks like it's a technology that's for the good of all and the harm of none. And I think it's one more symbol that we're modernizing, we're digitalizing, we want to stay current. And I would call this a leading edge technology that demonstrates to our community that, we are in the game. We're innovative.
Thank you. Yes.
All right, my friend, I'm going to let you. I know you've had a long day. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We're going to give it up for Mr. Josh Howard one more time. And I'm going to bring this to an end, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, stay well.
Take care. Bye.
That was cool. I don't know about you, but we've had some demos on Facebook Live, but nothing like that. And I really like the conversation that supported, the demonstration. That for me, I want the hairdresser, the color Jedi, to see this as an ally, to see this as a resource, and not see it as an adversary or an opponent or an enemy, and sees this innovative change as an opportunity, not be threatened by it. And as well as a salon owner that, perhaps has not been on the cutting edge of digital, to see this as this is not to be intimidated by it, but to embrace this, because if what I think is happening, salon businesses that have this as a technology are going to have an edge, a big edge, over those that don't. And so we, for those of us, if we lag too far behind, we put our own business at risk. We put our own survival in jeopardy. So get on this big time. So if you're not following Vish on social, at Vish Salons on Instagram, at Vish Salons on Facebook, and hashtag GetVish. I follow them on both on those platforms as well. So great show tonight. If you've got any comments or questions, leave them in the comment of this post, and we'll get you squared away, and we'll get the links on there as well. So have a good evening, and we will see you Thursday night. I'm not going to tell you who's going to be on, but it's going to blow your mind. She is an influencer on Instagram with well into six-figure followers, and she's very real, and she's very true, and I love how she thinks, and she agreed to come on and share some of her secret sauce. So I'm not going to tell you who it is. Watch for my post, but you can see by the smile on my face that I'm excited for that as well. So have a great evening. Good to have you, and keep blowing it up.